Now at 5, IMPD releases the names of the officers involved in the Drejon Reed case. What we have learned about the men there on the night of the deadly shooting.
They're lacking an ear for someone to listen and kind of find out really what's going on in their world.
Refusing to leave kids behind during these difficult times, how one local organization is helping families on the Far East Side.
And reopening Indiana, Governor Holcomb says the state is ready for stage 4 ahead of schedule. What that means for you.
This is RTV6 News at 5, working for you.
Right now at 5, strong thunderstorms, damaging winds, all part of a system moving across central Indiana today, marking a transition to much more comfortable weather in the hours ahead.
Storm Team 6 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory is here to tell us when those winds are going to calm down. Kevin.
And the strong storms, the severe storms are moving out of the state. Here are over 24 different storm reports, basically wind damage, and it really picked up as far as the reporting and intensity from Tipton to Kokomo and Howard County to northwest then of Marion in Grant County. Numerous wind damage reports. As I mentioned, the storms are leaving. You'll feel it. The humidity is dropping. The wind will relax, but not until later tonight after sunset. This won't last much longer. Technically still a thunderstorm watch for the eastern portion of the state, but you can see the strong to severe storms have now exited Indiana. These have been racing at anywhere from 50 to almost 70 miles per hour to the northeast. One little shower just popped up north of Richmond. We could rotate in a couple of sprinkles here as the clouds come back in and a couple of very light showers. It's all about the wind though. 44-mile-per-hour gust in Indianapolis right now. Temperatures, they're dropping into the 70s in the western half of the state. Look what's going on in the eastern half. We'll talk about comfortable days ahead coming up.
Tonight, as protesters gather for another night to call for an end to racial injustice, they have information many have been asking for weeks. The names of the IMPD officers connected to the deadly Drejon Reed police shooting last month. RTV6's Cameron Riddle is live downtown tonight with these new developments. Cameron.
Hey, Mark, good evening. Black Lives Matter protesters will be down here protesting again today, starting in about a half hour at 5:30 tonight. They are calling today a bit of a celebration and a small victory, as you just said. They have been asking since the day after Drejon Reed was shot and killed by IMPD for that officer's name and more transparency in that case. It has been over a month since that shooting back on May 6th, and now tonight we know the name of the officer who shot Drejon and the officer who was heard on that Facebook Live making comments about having to have a closed casket. You'll remember this was back on Michigan Avenue and 62nd Street on the city's northwest side after being pursued by IMPD Chief Randall Taylor and Deputy Chief Kendall Adams. We now know that the officer who picked up the pursuit of Drejon Reed was Officer DeJour Mercer, a 4-year officer on the force. We have also been digging into his record this afternoon. So far, we have found no disciplinary action on his record, but we did find out that he was named Northwest District Officer of the Year back on April 29th. If you'll check your calendar, you will see that April 29th is exactly 1 week before the shooting of Drejon Reed. The other officer who people want the identity of as the officer who made the comment about the closed casket remark. And we've learned that that officer is Stephen Scott, a 15-year veteran of IMPD. Also looking more into his background here tonight. With all of this said, on social media at one point people thought all of these officers were one person. They thought the officer who shot and the officer who then made the comment and then the officer who shut off the Facebook Live was one person. Tonight we can confirm those are 3 different people. The detective who shut off that Facebook Live was identified previously as a detective on the scene. Much more to come on this as we continue to dig into this, as protesters tonight will be asking for more answers. As you can see, it is very, very windy down here, as Kevin just mentioned. Reporting live tonight, I'm Cameron Riddle, RTV6.
Big developments tonight, Cameron. Thank you. And an update to a story we brought you yesterday at 5. The results of a fundraiser to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Hoagies and Hops on the 4100 block of Boulevard Place on the north side pledged to donate 50% of yesterday's sales to Indy 10 Black Lives Matter. That total turned out to be $2,200. We've reached out to the group to hear how they plan to use the money, but have not heard back.
We've got a huge community response where people want to come in and be mentors.
And it appears people are looking for ways to give back during the movement toward equality and the pandemic. RTV6's Troy Washington is working for you to explain how recent events have sparked a renewed interest in mentoring.
We have actually gotten calls from people who are in companies that have a lesser minority population, and they're providing different opportunities for our youth for internships, trainings for our staff.
Crystal Hines runs Inner Beauty Program Incorporated. She says these days people are in a hurry to help.
The larger response, I think, comes from just having more knowledge of what's needed and just trying to build the community. So I can't say it's necessarily because of the movement, but I do believe that the larger push is because of the movement.
She's talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, making noise all across the nation and raising awareness everywhere about a need for progression.
We got even a call from the Colts cheerleaders asking how they can come over and assist our program.
Like Inner Beauty and New Boy, New Breed of Youth, Voices also does a lot of work with young people who happen to live in the inner city of Indianapolis.
It doesn't take a lot of time to be a mentor. All you have to do is be caring and consistent. And so we do want people to get involved, whether that's through volunteering with Voices or mentoring with other groups, such as like Bloom Project, Leading Ladies, Inner Beauty, and New Boy. Because if you're a part of a kid's life, you now have a responsibility to hold that young person accountable, but that young person now has somebody to guide them and depend on.
Brandon Randall says that's really all it takes to change the trajectory of a young person's life, and it's never too late. Right now, the nonprofit is relying on Zoom meetings and virtual meetups to stay connected.
They love for us to be in their face. They don't like the whole call me. They want you to pull up, hug them, push them around, be rough with them. You know, just have fun. And so it's been hard during this time.
Regardless of how heavy it all feels right now, they believe programs like Voices will emerge with more mentors on board than before. Working for you, Troy Washington, RTV6.
And we reached out to Big Brothers Big Sisters to see if they are noticing an increased interest in mentoring due to all that is going on. You can read their response when you check out this story on the IndyChannel.com.
Now to big developments regarding coronavirus and the state of Indiana. Today, Governor Holcomb said Indiana is ready to move on to Stage 4 ahead of schedule. Stage 4 can begin Friday instead of Sunday. We'll explain what that means, but first, let's check the latest numbers for you tonight. 15 more Hoosiers have died of COVID-19. Those deaths occurring between May 24th and yesterday. The statewide total now at 2,173. And 339 more Hoosiers have tested positive for a statewide total of 38,337. Overall, the governor says our numbers look good when you also include available ventilators and ICU beds, hospitalizations, and contact tracings. And that's why he says we are ready to move on to Stage 4 ahead of the schedule on Friday. RTV6's Megan Sanctorum explains which businesses will be allowed to open now and how some of them are getting ready to do so in a safe way.
Places like the Freedom Springs Aquatics Park in Greenwood would typically be packed with people this time of year, but instead it's looked like this. The only people you'll find inside right now are staff members as they prepare to reopen the park. Recreation areas like this are included in Phase 4 of Governor Holcomb's reopening plan. They will be allowed to open at 50% capacity. Phase 4 also means retail stores will be able to open at 100% capacity. Restaurants and dining rooms can open at 75%. Bars and nightclubs can open at 50%. Casinos can open with Gaming Commission approval. Social gatherings can also now be up to 250 people. The governor announcing just hours ago we will enter Phase 4 a few days sooner than initially anticipated.
Hoosiers have, I think, for the most part, been very not only patient but vigilant and that is that combination has allowed us to weather this storm and continue to progress from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 2 to stage 3, and now on to stage 4.
Leaders with Greenwood Parks and Recreation say it's something they've been planning for. They have extra safety precautions in place, and they're ready to welcome people back in.
In our head, we've had this so programmed operationally on paper and opening of how it's going to look months in advance, preparing for this. So we're ready to see what we've been putting down in paper and actually see it in operation.
Working for you, Megan Sanctorum, RTV6.
Now here's what else can open in stage 4. Museums, zoos, movie theaters, and bowling alleys can reopen at 50% capacity. Amusement and water parks like Freedom Springs also at 50%. And playgrounds may also reopen.
Now, how all this applies to Marion County remains to be seen. As you know, Mayor Hogsett has not reopened Indianapolis as quickly as the rest of the state, and our stages are about 2 weeks behind. We just learned the mayor plans to provide an update on restrictions and guidelines tomorrow afternoon. And one change we can tell you about from the city, Illinois Street 2 is back open to vehicle traffic. It was shut down last month to help restaurants offer outdoor dining. Today, crews with the Department of Public Works reopened Illinois between Georgia and Market Streets. The stretch of road was initially shut down last month, so restaurants had more room to set up outdoor tables. At the time, indoor dining was not allowed in the city due to COVID-19 restrictions. Those restrictions are slowly being relaxed. 3 streets remain closed to car traffic: parts of Mass Ave, Georgia Street, and Broad Ripple Avenue. And Mayor Hogsett wants to make sure Indianapolis residents who need a mask can have one for free. You can get a mask like this by signing up at indy.gov/masks. So far, more than 18,000 people have requested one. They will start arriving at homes next week. And this program is for Marion County adults unable to purchase their own. The city is using $3 million from the Federal CARES Act to fund this program.
Still ahead here at 5, a teen gunned down months ago. Now Metro Police say 2 teenagers are under arrest for murder. Staying on course and improving lives. It can be tough right now with all that's going on. Still ahead, an organization that's working hard to help families know they're still there for them. Kevin?
Temperatures will bounce around over the next several days, but ultimately, it's a cooler pattern. I'll explain coming up.
RTV6, sponsored by Citizens Energy Group.
2 young men are under arrest in Indianapolis for the January murder of a 15-year-old boy on the east side. Today we learned that Metro Police arrested 19-year-old Jacob Wells on May 12th and arrested 17-year-old Trajan Davidson on May 13th. Davidson is being charged as an adult. They are accused in the murder of 15-year-old Peter Lambermont on January 4th. He was found dead from multiple gunshot wounds in the 3100 block of Priscilla Avenue near East 30th Street and Arlington Avenue.
Tensions are high right now regarding racial inequality, plus the stress of COVID-19. Community organizations want families to know that they are here for them and are not steering away from their mission of improving lives. RTV6's Stephanie Wade talks with one group to get a sense of how it's helping young people who may be struggling right now.
Whether you lost a job because of the pandemic or have been impacted by COVID-19, these are uncertain times, and kids might be lacking a support system, making groups like City Life that much more important. The Far East Side City Life director says throughout the past few months, their goal has remained the same: meet kids and their families where they are and lend an ear for someone to listen. From housing needs to employment or education, people are trying to navigate their emotions right now while still dealing with trauma. In a time of racial injustice, discussions on inequity around the country are magnifying that.
The one thing you don't want to do is try to suppress and bottle up something that needs to get out. We just want to make sure when you release it that we're like that guardrail to make sure you release it wholeheartedly, rawly, exactly how you feel, but at the same time, do it in respect, peacefully. We don't need to throw bricks. We don't need to vandalize our city. We don't need to graffiti up our walls. Express your heart. Let them see your tears. Let them know that as an African-American man, as an African-American young girl, I feel different when lights come on behind me. And it's not fair. It's unreal.
The challenge before, and perhaps even more so now, is giving kids hope, showing them a better way to move through life and helping them get there. Through community partners, they teach their families and students to not let circumstances define you. The key to that is reconciliation.
I love the fact that now I believe it's affecting the entire humanity race. Now everybody are coming out of their worlds and merging together, and they're saying, how can we help? First thing, you have to listen and learn what it is to be this child, and then learn what it is to be this child.
Stephanie Wade, RTV6.
And to learn more about their services, we will attach a link on our website, theindychannel.com.
And Kevin Gregory joins us now. And Kevin, it was so windy out today.
It still is. And also, what else caught your attention?
The cloudy skies, humidity.
And humidity, yeah.
Yes.
Humidity is something. I'm going to step up here because I got a big announcement. It will feel much better tomorrow. Humidity will come down. All right, now I'm back down off my podium. Let's talk about the winds. Amanda mentioned it, nearly a 49-mile-per-hour gust in Indianapolis. Now, that's a non-thunderstorm wind. In some of the thunderstorms, we had wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour up from Tipton to Kokomo to Peru. This watch will be expiring at 6 o'clock, but in many cases, I think before that, it will go later in Ohio. But our severe weather threat is ending rapidly. You can see the storms that have now crossed the state line into the Buckeye State. Could still have a pop-up shower just right along the state line, but the threat for severe weather is ending. We'll still rotate in more cloud cover. We've had a burst of sunshine after that initial round of storms, and maybe a couple of sprinkles in the northern portion of the state. It's all part of the cooler air that will arrive, and it's definitely drier air. The dew point temperatures are in the 70s in Ohio. That's where we were most of the day, but now we're in the 50s, 55, the dew point in Indianapolis. When it's at 65, I think that's when you start to really notice the humidity. We're dropping off the scale into a much more comfortable zone. West to east, that tells the story. Western Indiana, drier air, cooler temperatures, clouds kind of filtering back in. Eastern portions of the state with the most recent thunderstorms, still a little more humid conditions. Temperatures are in the middle to upper 80s. Okay, the wind forecast after about 9 o'clock. Remember, the sun doesn't set until 9:15. We'll start to see the wind calm down a little bit. It will stay windy tonight. It's just that the wind gusts won't be as strong. During the next 4 days, make it 5, 6, maybe even 7. We'll have very little opportunity for rain. It'll be a beautiful stretch. Tomorrow, you'll notice the lower humidity and the more comfortable temperatures. Lots of sunshine through the day, still breezy. High temperatures just shy of 80 degrees. As you look at the high temperatures from north to south, upper 70s to low 80s, and the wind will be 15 to 25 miles per hour with some higher gusts. Friday forecast, we jump temperatures back into the low to mid 80s, but you see the cooler air, the greens up in Michigan, portions of Wisconsin, the cooler air is going to come back into the state for the weekend. Temperatures will drop into the 50s both Saturday and Sunday morning. In some cases, lower 50s. Now, these are the overnight lows in Indianapolis, so I think outlying areas will be cooler. Temperatures in the mid 70s. That's below average for this time of year. 7-day forecast. I know many of you are starting to think, okay, I could use a little rain. If you got missed today, our next opportunity for rain really isn't until next Tuesday and Wednesday. That's also when temperatures start to climb, a little more humidity back into the picture, and temperatures in the middle to upper 80s by then. Amanda?
I'll take it from here, Kevin. Coming up here, opening up, a popular place to cool off and have fun is getting ready to welcome guests.
Keller and Keller.
The COVID-19 pandemic continues to create challenges in making sure everyone has enough to eat. So WRTV is teaming up with Kroger and Second Helpings to get meals into the hands of those who are struggling to put food on the table. Starting Monday through June 21st, whenever you shop at select Central Indiana Kroger stores, you can round up your grocery bill or select a donation amount of your choice when you check out. That amount will go directly to Second Helpings. WRTV and the Scripps Howard Foundation will match up to $12,000 in donations. You can find out more at your Kroger store or at our website, theindychannel.com/feedinghoosiers.
The Carmel Water Park is preparing to reopen on Sunday as long as Hamilton County successfully enters Stage 4 of the governor's Back on Track plan. To start with, from June 14th to July 3rd, attendance will be limited to 50% capacity. Some features will remain closed, and policies will be adjusted to reduce the risk of spreading COVID-19. There is a long list of changes, and you can find those details in this story on the IndyChannel.com. The water park will be open to daily admissions from noon to 7. Daily admission will be limited initially to Carmel and Clay Township residents and first responders with ID until Indiana reaches stages 5 of the Back on Track plan. More churches in central Indiana are getting taxpayer money to stay afloat during the pandemic, but some are concerned that many churches are not getting the help they need. Tonight at 6, we find out what is being done to address this disparity. And here's a live look outside at some cloudy skies over Indianapolis. We'll be back with the news at 6 with a look at your forecast and news of the day.